Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Wanda Curley, your authority on project, program, and portfolio management. This blog is brought to you by PM Powered, your consulting company on project, program, and portfolio management. Make sure to reach out to me at wanda@pmpowered.com to discuss your project, program, and portfolio needs. But what are we going to talk about this week? So I have some various different articles today that all have to relate to make you a better project manager. So the first one I have to do is kind of targets at women, or if you want to help women, it says, what are the different networks that you need that are different from men? They said you have to have the traditional man network. In other words, if you want to get up into the big leagues, you have to do what the men have to do. Play golf, go and have dinners and those sort of things. But there's something relatively different that we need as women. And this article is brought to you by Kellogg Insight, so it's more of an academia type thing, but it was studied. And it was interesting that they brought out that women also need a network of strong, hard-charging women. And you can't be the same type of women as you are. They have to be very diverse women to help you understand the nuances of the companies that you're targeting to go into. So what are the politics of that company? How do they treat their women in that company? And you find this out through understanding, through your woman network. So in the woman network, you're able to find out from these people that have either worked in it or have friends that have worked in it to understand what you need to do to get into that company and how to succeed. So again, we as women need to have two networks. One, our traditional work network that mostly will be men, and then you have to have your women network of strong women that can get you to where you need to go. So keep that in mind, women. If you want to be the next CEO of a special company that you're really targeting, remember to have women that have those kind of industries, but you have those industries. So I'm going to take another step. We're going to talk about the foldable phone, and the future looks like this. But the foldable phone, to me, it's kind of taken a step backwards because if you remember in the early 90s, all phones were foldable. They weren't smartphones, but they were foldable. But they're coming back again. Now, 2019 will be the introduction of the foldable phones. And again, it'll only be those people that are going to be early adopters that'll be using it because the foldable phones will be battery hogs. And not too many apps will work on these foldable phones. And they are more like a tablet than they are. They'll be thick in your pocket. So again, in 2019, it'll be early adopters. They'll be very expensive. So we'll be phones matured. So stay tuned to see where the foldable phone goes to. I'm interested to see it because I would like to have a bigger screen, especially with the apps that we're going. I know it really hurts my eyes and strains my eyes when I have to look at the screen on my phone. So stay tuned. And if you are a project manager working on the foldable phone, I sure would like to hear from you. I would like to hear about some of the risks and some of the issues that you have found with the foldable phone. So let's go to the next thing. This next one, and you know I talk a lot about healthcare. And if you're a project manager in any of these healthcare items that I talk about, I would love to hear from you as well. So then this one is called the Next Data-Driven Healthcare Revolution. And they talk about three different things. So it's talked about the health nucleus is transforming sick care to healthcare. Sensors, wearables, and nanobots. We've talked a lot about that in past podcasts, and then the advent of mobile health. So the first one is called Health Nucleus, Transforming Sick Care to Healthcare. Well, there's one thing that they advocate, and it's been done with several, and these are people that have good, affordable health care or are wealthy because it's expensive to do this now. But what they did was they did a whole genome sequencing of them. They had a whole body MRI. They had brain magnetic resonancy and angiography, MRA. They had a CT or a CAT scan of the hearts and lungs. They had coronary artery calcium scoring. They had electrocardiogram. They had an echocardiogram. They had continuous cardiac monitoring and clinical laboratory tests of metabolomics. So they did it on 1,190 clients, and this was done in 2018. And again, these are people that had good health care, or they were wealthy in their own right and could afford to pay for these things. And so that it would be assumed that they had good doctors. So some of the things that were found in this amazed me. 2% had previously unknown tumors detected by MRI. 2.5% had previously undetected aneurysms detected by MRI. 8% had cardiac arrhythmias found on cardiac rhythm monitoring, not previously known. 9% had moderate to severe coronary artery disease, not previously known. 16% discovered previously unknown cardiac structure or function abnormalities, and 30% had elevated liver fat, not previously known. And from the genomic findings, 24%, that's pretty high, 24% uncovered a rare unknown genetic mutation, and 63% of the clients had a rare genetic mutation with a corresponding phenotypic finding. In summary, the HLI's published results found that 14.4% of clients had significant findings that are actionable and requiring immediate or near-term follow-up. And there were 40% of the clients that they screened, they had long-term clinical findings that included discoveries that required medical attention. They just weren't life-threatening or needed to be done immediately. So I think in the future, we're going to be seeing our medical industry transforming to doing preventative care, because right now our healthcare in the United States is based on being sick care. Okay, so the next thing is sensors, wearables, and nanobots. And I've talked about these quite a bit. Wearables are connected devices and quantified self apps that allow us to continuously collect enormous data on ourselves. So there's one of the big things is Qantas wristband, and Vital Connect can transmit your electrocardiogram data, vital signs, posture, and stress levels anywhere on the planet. There's Tricorder X Prize, that's a final frontier in medical devices. There's all kinds, AI-based Dexter, a diagnostic engine for rapid high-precision assessments, and it goes on and on and on. The FDAs have proved to some of them, and there's some things that are going on for even for how we sleep. There's one of the newer ones that I haven't really talked about in the past is called Aura. It's an Aura ring, and you wear it just like a ring on your finger, and it looks slightly thicker than a wedding band, and it has 2 infrared LEDs, 1 infrared sensor, 3 temperature sensors, 1 accelerometer, a 6-axis gyro, a curved battery with a 7-day life, and the memory processing and transmission capability required to connect to your smartphone. So it's amazing to me what's going on there and what we're doing in wearables. Then there's nanobots and nano networks. So we need to look at those as well. So it's amazing what they're doing in the areas of nanobots, and I'm not going to go into that because we've already talked about that in the back in previous podcasts. Then there's mobile health. We talked about the Aura Ring, and that's coming along. But where are we going with all of this? So the conclusion in this blog is that with these do-it-yourself data collection and diagnostic tools, we save on transportation costs, time and money, and time bottlenecks. No longer will you need to wait for your urine or blood tests to go through the current information chain. Samples will be sent to the lab, analyzed by a technician, results interpreted by your doctor, and only then relayed to you. Just like the sage on the stage issue with today's education system, healthcare has a doctor on the dais problem. Current medical procedures are too complicated and expensive for a layperson to perform and analyze. With the coming abundance of healthcare data promises to transform how we approach healthcare, putting the power of exponential technologies in the patient's hand and revolutionizing how we live. So we'll be seeing healthcare coming into our hands. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, But it'll be interesting to see that you'll have the power to go to your doctor when you think you need to go, or you're working with your doctor through technology. You don't have to go to them all the time. So that'll be interesting to see how that's done. So how tech will let you learn anything, anytime, and at any age. So there's a push in the United States to get 100% literacy, because they found if we have 100% literacy, then you have a more powerful workforce. And right now, some of our workforces, they get into the workplace and then they kind of go stagnant. So they're talking about having technology that you can learn on your phone, and it can be done through virtual reality as well, so that when we need to learn something for our jobs, we can do it immediately and do it at our leisure. So that'll be interesting to see how that will change the workforce. If you're working on that, I'd love to hear from you, because I'd love to know about all the different ways that we can learn. And then my final one is, doctors plan to test a gene therapy that could prevent Alzheimer's disease. And I don't want to get into the details on this, but again, if you're a project manager working on this, I'd love to hear from you. They're actually going to flood the brain with a specific type of genome that there's 4 types. And if you have one of the types, it causes Alzheimer's. But if you have the other type, it prevents you from getting Alzheimer's, which is amazing to me. So they're talking about taking this gene and flooding the brain of Alzheimer's patients with it to see if it alters the Alzheimer's gene into making it the new gene. So therefore either stopping or even reversing Alzheimer's. So that'll be an interesting understanding to see what's going on with Alzheimer's and see if they can prevent that, because that's a scary disease. And there's so many out there that'll have it, and they're expecting it to go up exponentially. So that it'll be interesting to see how we do that in healthcare. If you're a project manager in any of the things that I've discussed today, again, I would love to hear from you. I'm Wanda Curley, your authority on project, program, and portfolio needs. And this has been brought to you by PM Powered, your consulting company on project, program, and portfolio needs. I would love to hear from you. Please connect with me on PM Connect, and follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Again, you can go back to my previous podcasts. Again, I'm Wanda Curley. You can contact me at wanda@pmpowered.com. If you agree with me, disagree, if you have strong feelings one way or the other, or you have a project that you'd really like to bring on here, I'd love to hear from you. Again, have a great week, a blessed week, and I'll see you next week.